everyone, it's Mimi and Weezus.
Hey guys, what's good?
Every time, dude, the beginning makes us laugh, and I don't know why. Today, we're gonna cover the Waco Massacre in Waco, Texas, obviously.
Which one? No, I just can't.
Yeah, for real though, for real. So we're gonna cover the April 19th, 1993. What are we gonna call it? Like siege? You know, the U.S. government went in and kind of destroyed things, right? So
Yeah, I guess you could say. Look, because it's a little of everything, right? It's like it's like a cult. It was like an arms dealing thing, so weapons and then complete other chaos.
Yeah, exactly. It's just too much involved in one small little story. The first crazy fact is that this, what do we even call it? A standoff. I'm going to call it a standoff. This standoff happened from February 28th up until April 19th. That is a 51-day standoff. So it wasn't just like 2-3 days and they got it dealt with. Like it was 51 days worth of
you
drama.
You say standoff, dude, and I immediately think like back in the day, like the Old West, like.
That's kind of what it was.
And then you're like standing back to back, and then I tell you 10 steps, and then turn around, right? Yeah. But the thing is, I was lying to you, bro. I was gonna take 9, and then
and so you killed me.
And then I wait for you to turn around, and then bang, right? That's what I imagine the standoff, but that's not what happened here, right?
No, it's not. No, this is not what happened. So I'll kind of tell you guys how it all started, all right? So April 19th, 1993 was the worst day of it all, but it all started on February 28th. The U.S. government and the law enforcement of Texas, the officials there, they stormed a compound that belonged to this religious cult that called themselves the Branch Davidians. The way it all started, it's hard to explain. So they were about 20 miles outside of Waco, Texas, right? There's this guy, his name was David Koresh. He believed he was on like a mission from God. So he believed that the Messiah predicted in the book of Isaac was not Jesus, but he was still yet to come. And he believed that he was that Messiah.
Damn.
Yeah, that's truly what he believed. So
homie thought he was Ye.
For real, yeah.
Kanye West is what I mean.
Yeah. That's what he thought. He thought like, okay, I'm Jesus, so come with me, followers. And then all his followers believed that the apocalypse was coming, and it was like, come in now,
I feel you, dude.
So,
Y2K.
Kind of like that. That's just how it was, and he basically had this cult, and they lived in like this secluded area called Mount Carmel. They lived there at this like compound there. So one of the dudes, his name was also David. He was a former Davidian. He told the news, and this was back just in 2018, so this wasn't even that long ago, that one of the things about being a Branch Davidian was that you're supposed to like separate yourself from the world. The world is sins, the flesh, the desires of the world. You're just supposed to be spiritual, and that's it. That means also that they all had to be celibate. So no one could have sex besides for David Koresh, the God. And he had like 20 wives.
And not all of them were of age.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, not all of them were of age either. They were kids.
Oh yeah, some I saw a video and it said the ages range between was it 13 and up.
That's wild, dude. Yeah, I didn't know the ages. I just knew that he had kids with underage women. I knew that for sure. So this part's a little weird. I had to write it down to try and explain to you guys because I knew for a fact I couldn't remember this, but I was just kind of doing some research on what he actually believed. So he believed in the 7 seals from the Bible book of Revelation. The seals secure a document seen by John of Patmos, I don't know how to say it, in a vision, and their opening marks the second coming of Christ and the start of the apocalypse. So him thinking that like he's the new Jesus, believed that him and his group were going to prepare for this apocalypse. He believed that he could open this book or scroll sealed with the 7 seals and claimed he could speak to God. Like that's literally what he thought. And God told him that his little cult should prepare for the end of the world because it's happening like right now. That's truly what he believed. So he might have been a little mentally ill too, because he truly, I don't know if he was just making it up or if he truly believed that he was talking to God about that. But that's what his beliefs were. It was just a little
voice in the head, dude. It just responded to him like in a different tone. He was like,
yeah.
God, are you there? He's like, yes. Oh God. Oh God. It's like, I spoke to God. That was God, but it was his own consciousness. You know what I mean?
It probably was. He probably had that like multiple personalities thing, and the other one was like,
dude, same, dude.
Anyway, so I'll continue. So during the standoff, dude, David, he tried to negotiate with the FBI and the ATF and said that he was writing a manuscript, something that had to do with the 7 seals, right? And he said that once he had finished it, they would surrender. Him and his group, they would just surrender.
What is that? A manifesto, dude?
However, I don't know. He was like, basically, I really don't even understand, to be honest.
I think it'd be considered a manifesto because he died, right?
I guess. Yeah, I mean, he did die, but
yeah, so
but I don't know what it's considered, to be honest. Before he finished the document, the house was raided. One of the Davidians, I think it was a woman named Ruth, managed to escape. She actually got out of the house and she had a copy of the manuscript's like first installment. In it, he reinforced all his belief that he is the Lamb of God and like that he's the usher of the apocalypse and he's all this stuff. And he truly believed this, dude. He was like writing a Bible about himself is basically what he was doing.
See, that's what we were talking about in, what was it? In one of our episodes, like, he just made up, how do I say? He was already following a religion, right? But he made up himself that he was the god or whatever. And every cult, it's the same thing. Everyone, the main guy, the main priest, they think that God talks to them. You know, it's always the same thing. God talks to them, so they're a messiah. They're some prophet, or they're the chosen one, you know? But it's like, bro, but it's the same story for every cult. Like, come on. Make something new up. Spice it up.
Make up a different lie, dude. We're sick of this one.
For real, dude. Be like, I'm the reincarnation of Randy Macho Man, like some shit like that. No, I just kidding.
Something cool, because we've all heard this one. So, obviously, everyone thought that Koresh was like way mentally unstable, right? And they actually had like 2 religious scholars who ended up like earning this dude's trust at one point. Yeah. And they had them like analyze the manuscript, and they said that it honestly wasn't like some ravings of like a madman, like psycho dude, that it was actually like really carefully organized and reasoned, and that like he really believed like what he was writing in there, and that it wasn't just some like garbage like I rule the world, here's my throne. It wasn't anything schizophrenic or anything in it. Like it was truly like an organized manuscript.
Like,
I don't know.
Like remember what you said on Tuesday. Like
yeah, literally. It was just very. So when you read that, it's like, huh, that's strange. I guess that brings us back to like, I never explained to you guys why the raid was even going to happen. It wasn't just because they were a religious cult, right? But Jesus mentioned at the beginning, the ATF thought that these guys were taking semi-auto weapons and turning them into fully automatic.
Hey,
weapons.
But tell them who the ATF is. All my homies, we hate the ATF.
The ATF is the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms is what it stands for. And so, like, if you ever watched Sons of Anarchy, you hear all about the ATF in there because, like, they're doing arms deals and stuff. ATF is real. You know, they come in and they deal with this stuff. So the ATF was, like, spying on them because they were like, no, you can't be bringing fully automatic weapons, blah, blah, blah. Although they had already, law enforcement has already had reports at this point that David Koresh was, trigger warning guys, sexually assaulting some of his cult members' daughters, like, which they didn't call them cult members, they called them followers. But that's what had already been said, but it wasn't law enforcement, of course, because we don't protect the kids like we've been talking about in all our episodes. Didn't do anything about those allegations up until they found out about the weapons. So then the ATF was like, I guess we'll do something now.
So what they only do? So the government only does anything if drugs, guns, and oil is involved. You know what, dude? I'm gonna set someone up. I'm gonna be like, you see that store over there? They selling guns, and these people get raided. They see no guns, and I'll be like,
gotcha.
You guys, how many millions did you waste on that raid? 2.
Yeah, look at how many.
How much taxes did I pay out of that? 10%. I'm just kidding.
For real, well, that's like how it is, dude. And so at the point where they're like sus about the cult, right? They had a group of undercover agents go in posing as college students that moved in like this is the house across the street from their compound. But dude, these people are so dumb because they set them up like they're supposed to be college students, but they give them like nice ass rental cars that like a cop would drive. And they're like, all right, you guys are undercover. Here's your rental cars, though.
And the undercover cops had their cop haircuts too.
Yeah, they did. So like their cars give them away. So then at this point, the agents are like, well, let's just hold like let's host a party here at the house, like a college party, kind of deflect the suspicion away, you know. But it had the opposite effect because some of the Davidians showed up, mingled, you know, got some drinks, whatever, reported back to him that like, oh, they are definitely feds, dude. Definitely freaking feds. So then
how would they know though? How would they know?
I don't know. I don't know how exactly they knew.
Imagine they walked in, bro. The party was like there's chips, salsa, and shit, and then there was no one dancing. There's no music playing either. It was just them talking.
Yeah, it's just them talking. They probably like left their guns and files out at this point. I don't know.
For real, right? They're like, what's your name, Officer Kenny? No, just kidding.
Yeah, Officer Kenny. I mean, college kid Kenny.
Ken. My name's Ken. No,
there's another agent though. His name was Robert Rodriguez. He plays a little bit more of a role here coming up too, but he went in undercover and posed as an actual follower to gain access to like the cult itself. Koresh quickly like realized that he was just a Fed though, but he kept like inviting him in anyways and being like, you can come to Bible study. It's fine. So then, my favorite thing to say, the day before the raid, officials up in Washington were like, nah, let's call this off because like there's no way we can do this without using like excessive force, you know, because they're all armed. We don't know what's going to happen. Let's just wait, arrest this guy someday when he leaves the compound. We'll just have a stakeout. Doesn't matter if it's 60 days. It doesn't matter if it's a year. The second he leaves the compound, we'll freaking snatch him up. But then the ATF at this point, they had like this big hearing coming up about like budgets and stuff. And so they were like, nah, we need a big freaking win so that we don't get all this shit cut and we don't get like people fired, whatever. So they went ahead and did it anyways without permission, dude. So then Rodriguez, the guy I just talked about, the undercover follower, he overhears someone tipping off David Koresh, the bad guy, you guys. And they're telling him about the raid and they know it's going to happen. So he like rushes back to his bosses at the ATF and stuff at this point and is like, yo, there's some dangerous shit going on. He knows we can't do this anymore. What did they say, Jesus? Well, that's too damn bad. We're doing it. Like, that's how they acted. So here's where shit gets wild. February 28th, agents swarmed the compound. What were they met with, though, Jesus? Heavy gunfire, Jesus.
Of course.
Imagine that.
Imagine. Okay. So put like right away. You know, Jesus always I gotta look at the other side, right? Just imagine you're in your property, you chillaxing. All of a sudden, you see 15 armed cops running at you. No warning, nothing, right? Well, you know what's an American to do, right?
American thing to do.
What's an American thing to do? And you stand your ground, bust out them blickies, bro. You bust out them blickies.
Well, I feel like you maybe shouldn't have, but I mean, that is the American thing to do, I guess. But then there's questions about like who fired first. And the answer has never been found, dude. So there's that. Anyways, so they're met with like heavy gunfire, right? At this point, the battle lasts a few hours. It's like a shoot off, like an old Western shoot off, but just like with a ton of people. 4 federal agents end up dead, and 6 of the cult members were dead. A ton more wounded, like 20 something other agents were wounded. Like there was a lot of them.
Damn.
So then
I'm missing an eye.
Yeah, and obviously at this point, nothing has been solved besides people are dead. So then obviously now it's a standoff. So the FBI gets involved because the FBI has to investigate the deaths of like the federal agents. That's their job. So there's like the FBI negotiators out here trying to negotiate with David Koresh to let people / hostages, whatever we want to call them, go, because their followers were all stuck in there at this point. So everyone of the people in the cult were in this compound still. They couldn't leave because they were going to get shot, or they didn't know,
Yeah, so, exactly.
At this point, tensions start to rise a bit because you've got what they call the HRT, which is the hostage rescue team. And then you have the FBI negotiators. And the HRT is actually like, they're part of the FBI. They're just like different. I don't know if that makes sense, but they're not
different, like wing, right?
Yeah, exactly. So the FBI prefer to like negotiate, like, look, we give you this if you give us a kid type of thing. The HRT is like,
and then they lie and shoot you. No, just
yeah, no, the HRT is like that. So the FBI negotiators they're true to their word apparently. HRT though, they're like, hear me out, give us the kid or we'll kill your mom right here. Like that's how they are. So they're like, give us the kid or we'll squish your vintage car that you love that's sitting out here with a tank. The HRT, they handle things differently, right? So at this point, the FBI negotiators would start to make a lot of progress with David and like be kind of getting him to trust him a little bit. And then 2 seconds later, the HRT would just run over one of his vintage cars with a tank. Literally, they did that. And they were like, oh, you want to fuck around and find out? Bye-bye. Say bye to your car that you love so much.
Miranda, this is a tactic you should learn. If people don't want to fucking start acting right, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it's true. So anyways, then at this point, it's like weeks in to the freaking standoff. Koresh claimed that like he would surrender peacefully just as soon as he finishes writing like this one part of his book. And the cult members, the Davidians, they had been communicating with like the outside world by like painting messages on like their sheets, like their bed sheets, and hanging them out the window. One of them said, let's have a beer when this is over. I like that one. That was my favorite. But then instead, they received approval, the tactical team did, to like end the situation rapidly is what they got approval for. So early morning, April 19th, federal agents rammed the Mount Carmel building with tanks, dude. And then what did they do? They pumped tear gas into the holes they had created to try and like flush the people out. So around noon of that day, some people started reporting like seeing flames and stuff. And at this point, like agents expected to see people like flooding out of the building to surrender, but only 9 people came out.
Okay, so, bro, I got something, dude, that I was watching. As one of the cops, he was talking how he was part of that operation and how they expected to use the tear gas. You know, what they expected was, you know how we always say save the kids, right? Apparently there was like 30, 40 kids in there, and the tear gas, they expected the adults to react like, you know, like parents should, and get the kids out of there. And when no one did, they saw the flames and shit. They were like, what the hell? Like, what's going on?
Like, why is there a fire? Because your gas is fire.
And then one of the guys that survived, one of those people you just talked about, he came out and basically he saved a dog instead of going to save his daughter.
I mean, I'm just kidding. When they rammed all that tear gas in there, dude, only like 9 people total came out. So more than 70 other people, including like 24 kids, were still in there. And they all died by like either being crushed by the building, by suicide, or they were just killed in the fire. One toddler that came out of all the rubble and stuff was actually killed from being stabbed in the chest. So someone did that.
I believe it, dude.
And then the source of the fire was disputed by a lot of different things, because some people say like, oh, maybe they were using like incendiary, tear gas, canisters, or this and that, but it actually was said the Branch Davidians themselves had started the fires because there was like evidence from like the audio that they had put, because they actually sent like recording bugs, they sent it in with like one of their milk orders so that they could hear what they were saying. So it was like in the milk cartons and stuff. And they had heard audio of discussions between like David Koresh and others about pouring more fuel like on piles of hay to get the fire started. And like then there was aerial footage showing that like there was 3 simultaneous ignition points at different locations in the building. So like the fires were intentionally started. And yeah, I don't know, dude. I think that's just
and
insane.
Then there's what you said that they also reported was this one guy. He had his hands were burnt, and then it says that the only way that his hands like could have been burnt was like using like diesel, like a diesel flame. It burns a little hotter, I guess. So that's what it left, and then it also gets imbued in your skin. And that's what he had. And apparently they blame him, saying that he, after the, like you said, that they had 3 simultaneous ignition points, he was responsible for basically just adding more fuel to the flame, spreading diesel throughout all the floors.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And then getting out of there, dude, because he survived,
Yeah, he survived it. Well, there was another like suggestion that said like the combination of gunshots and like flammable tear gas could have been the true cause of the fire, and like there was all kinds of stuff. But in total, only 4 agents died. So only 4 federal agents, but 82 of the Davidians died, and then 28 of those were kids. So 14 of the kids that were on that compound were kids of David Koresh, like biological kids that he's had with the women who were on the compound. Some of those being underage moms, dude.
That's wild. Mm-hmm.
One of the dead bodies was David Koresh himself, and he didn't die from the fire, but he died from a gunshot wound to his forehead.
You think someone got fed up and shot him, or you think that he told someone to kill him like that?
I don't know, because I don't think he shot himself, because some of the stuff I read said it's like not his injury or the way it wasn't like it didn't match up with suicide, So yeah, there was some other stuff that like the second in command might have killed him before they all died. Like who knows? But the craziest part of it all, dude, after all that and all those people died and all that stuff, there is still a branch, or there's still a group of the Branch Davidians living on the compound, and they just rebuilt like a little living thing, and they're still there.
They let them live there?
I don't know, but they still are out there, dude. Just different ones.
Just doing their thing.
Mm-hmm.
God, dude, that's scary, dude. What if they're doing? What if they're still doing what they're doing?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's all crazy, and there is like a timeline of when the actual standoff was happening. Like, so I wanted to read it to you guys a little bit, so that you guys could see like what day by day actually happened the whole time that they were in there, and like the big events that happened during. So the 28th of February was obviously the first day. About 100 agents were the ones who started the raid. That's when the 4 agents died, and like some of the cult members died in the gun battle, right? March 1st, he actually released 10 kids. That was like when he released his first little batch of people. March 2nd, 2 women and 6 children were released. So out of all those kids that passed away, that were released, only 4 of those were his biological kids. So he's 10 of his other kids died in the fire.
Let me look at the best looking ones. All right, y'all can leave. The rest of y'all funky looking ones, y'all can stay.
You're gonna stay. That's really what he did, because that means that 10 of his kids were killed, right? If he had 14 and 4 of them got out, so. Okay, so March 2nd, he released 2 women and 6 kids, and he this is when he just like he kept promising, I promise to surrender, if you just do this or this, whatever. March 3rd, he again said he'll surrender, but not from what he promised before, but once he receives further instruction from God, he'll go ahead and do it. That's what he said. Then March 4th and 5th, he ended up releasing 2 more kids. March 12th, 2 adults voluntarily left the compound because they were like, bruh, this shit's getting a little nuts, dude. Then you have like a couple days in between, right? And then March 18th, the FBI used loudspeakers to blare tapes of like negotiations so that not only could David Koresh hear it, but all the people in the cult could hear it. March 19th, then 2 of the cult members left on their own. March 21st, 7 of them left on their own. So think, this is a lot of people leaving, and there were still not many people inside who passed away. So then March 22nd, they blasted the compound with like chants of Tibetan monks or something, is literally what it says. And this is like a news channel saying this, so I don't know why they did it, but they did. The next day, another member left. Yeah. So then March 24th comes around.
They were just torturing them psychologically, dude?
Yeah, basically. And then March 24th came around, and then Koresh was like, no, I'm not going to do negotiations anymore. Like, this is ridiculous. So he doesn't talk to them anymore. So from that point until April 14th, they're not negotiating with him at all because he got pissed off. So April 14th comes around. He sends out word that he'll surrender after he writes the manuscript, where he's going to reveal the contents of, his book of Revelations and like all this shit that he's writing. So then on the 16th of April, the FBI agent said that I read this weird. FBI agent says agency has its own time schedule and won't wait forever for Koresh to give up. So that's when they started being like, we're not waiting anymore. You better hurry. Like, why did they wait 51 days? Beats me, dude. I don't know. Then
they're like, if you don't turn yourself in, I'm going to give you another day.
Yeah, we're going to give you another day.
And then the next day, all right, this day has come. If you don't come out, I'm going to have to give you another day.
Yeah, that's literally what they did for 51 consecutive days. So then April 19th, that's when all the shit that we just talked about went down. And then April 23rd, President Clinton defends the government handling like the whole situation. But he promises that there will be a full investigation on it. But he's like, hey, this is not the government's fault.
Hey,
I did not have sexual relations with that. That's literally what happened. So then,
just in the corner, dude.
Yeah, for real. So then April 25th, the first body in the rubble identified, and it was actually Koresh's brother-in-law, David Michael Jones. And then April 29th, the Texas Department of Safety says the hunt for the bodies has ended, and that they recovered 72 bodies at that point. So then May 2nd, Justice of the Peace announces that dental records and x-rays confirmed that Koresh's body was found with a gunshot wound to his forehead. And boom, that was it, dude.
Oh, dude, I swear someone, I don't think he told one of his lackeys, like, shoot me. I'm pretty sure someone was like, sick of your ass. And then,
I think so too.
I would have been like, get on your knees. This is what you made me do. And then boom. I don't know. Something like that.
I don't know. I don't think he had the balls to kill himself, if I'm being honest. So I don't think he did it on his own. I think someone just did it to him, like you said. Like, I think the second in command or someone was just like, I can't believe you put us in this position and all our kids are about to die. Boop, dead.
Now you're supposed to be our God. Now we're here having to sacrifice all our kids. Now I'm going to kill you.
So here's a crazy, I don't necessarily know if I want to go, like, it's not a rumor, like this is real life, but a couple years later, on April 19th, 1995, which is exactly 2 years from the incident that just happened, a truck blew up at this federal building in Oklahoma City, and it killed 168 people. It was like the super deadliest act, right? At this point, it was the deadliest act of domestic terrorism in like American history.
I've been to that memorial.
Have you?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's in front of the tree that's like they lived like 100 years, and then how do I say it? It's just like a fountain, and then you just see the silhouette of the building more or less.
Dang.
Or it was a hospital, right? The hospital.
Well, it was just a federal building, so I don't know what
federal building.
Yeah, it says Alfred P. Murrah. Don't know how to say the last name, of course, but so the people, the perpetrators, were like this anti-government extremist, is what we'll call him, right? His name was Timothy McVeigh, and he had an accomplice, Terry Nichols. They were inspired, in part, anyways, by the 1993 Waco Siege, and that's why they did it like on the same day, right? But they spent days, observing the standoff of the whole Davidian compound from a point that was about 3 miles away from there. There's even video footage of McVeigh, who was then a 24-year-old kid. He was an Army vet, by the way, at the closest spot to the compound where the public could gather and just barely witnessed the events that were like unfolding. So while he was there, he was like selling bumper stickers with pro-gun and like anti-government slogans on them. And then he blew up the federal building and killed 168 people on that day, on the anniversary.
Okay, no, yeah, it was a federal building. Okay, so see what I remember always hearing about this case, Miranda, is that you know in that building they had like a children's ward, like where they took care of the kids, or like a child, yeah. And apparently, you know, when they started, the dogs came, they started like digging out people. Apparently, bro, like there was babies and stuff, like 1-year-old, 2-year-olds. They were still alive, but you know, I think they survived because you know when initially the building came down, you know how babies' bone structures are a little different than ours.
Yeah,
a little more squishy. So I'm pretty sure that you know they got squished, right? But I think they just bounced back.
Dang.
Yeah, and there was like a bunch of kids died, right? But there was babies that did survive.
That's insane, dude.
They're digging them out, and the babies were like smiling, happy, like, "Oh, what's up, man?"
Did you know that this goes back to the compound and not the federal building?
Yeah.
But that it took like days for the building to like be cooled down enough from all like the burning stuff for them to actually go in and start searching for bodies. And the majority of the people inside the building, actually their cause of death was considered like smoke inhalation from the fires, because they got all burned up in their lungs and stuff.
Their lungs heated up and collapsed on themselves.
And burned. Yikes. Dude.
Imagine feeling hot on the inside but not knowing why.
No, I don't wanna. I don't want to imagine feeling hot on the inside but not knowing why.
That's how it feels to chew 5 gum, Miranda. No,
and that's one last fact that I wanted to give you guys. So David Koresh, that wasn't even his real name.
Oh my God, he was another scam artist, bro.
Yeah, his actual name was Vernon Wayne Howell.
Weak ass name, dude.
Yeah, his stupid name. Stupid fucking
name. If I was born white, I would want my name to be like John Steele or, you know, something like that. Something aggressive.
Something cool, dude.
But nothing with Johnson, dude. I feel like anything with Johnson doesn't sound intimidating.
Well, you know, a crazy other thing that he did. So when he actually joined like the Davidians, he was 22 years old. He was young. He became involved with the woman who was actually in charge at the time, named Lois, which is weird, right? David Koresh, wanted control of the cult. And so after Lois died, because they was fucking or whatever, he was like, I should be the leader. She had a son, though, George. George was like, no, I'm the leader. So then they were like, I'm going to challenge you for power, dude. And so then this dude, Koresh, rolls up on him with like some of his buddies. And guess what happens, dude?
They jump him.
Yeah, well, shoot him in the head.
Oh.
And chest. Yeah. And he was boop dead, dude.
Boop dead.
Then he took over leadership of the Davidians and just then got them all massacred, so
That's wild. They were down bad, bro. I feel like if Jesus Christ were to talk to you, bro, straight up, you wouldn't even know. You wouldn't even know until he left, right? Like, like just say you're talking. Like for me, it'd be like I'd be talking to my either like my younger sister or my older sister, and all of a sudden I turn around and it's just like white pigeons. I'd be like, oh, that was Jesus.
That was Jesus, dude.
That was Jesus.
Not David, but Jesus.
Not
Not Vernon.
It wasn't burning, bro. It wasn't burning.
Not burning, dude.
Yeehaw, brother.